Imagine a world that you didn't have to zip up to belong. A common misconception about sexual assault is that it happens in back alleys, late at night, between strangers, when you're least expecting it. But the truth is, 8 out of 10 times, it happens between people who know each other. When someone who you trust that much does something like that to you, it breaks something that just feels impossible to put back together. Like it breaks something that was never meant to be touched. I drove home that night at about 4 a.m. I go upstairs to my bathroom, I look in the mirror, and I do not recognize the person that I see staring back at me. She looks like a stranger. She looks like a ghost, like this hollow person, this shell. So I can't tell you what I did for the rest of that day, or the day after that, or the day after that. But I can tell you that every single night, I would be in bed with my eyes closed, reliving that night in the Walmart parking lot over and over and over again. I was responded to by people who are supposed to be the people that take care of you. People like your parents. How much were you drinking? What were you wearing? And the more I would hear these things, the more I would start to believe them. And so I found that drinking was really helpful. Now drinking became a way to survive, a way to get to the next day. I know now I was in survival mode, and I needed every possible strategy I could to disappear. So I'd stop eating. I'd cut out this food group or that food group until there was one thing that I was allowed to eat, and it was iceberg lettuce. And so I thought, I just need an exit plan. I just need ideas. I need a getaway car. And I remember typing into the search bar, quick, easy ways to take your own life. In that moment, there was this tiny little voice telling me that there's more to life than that. Just like drinking is a way to cope, a way to get to the next day, just like an eating disorder is a strategy to deal with life when something hard happens, so is wearing a mask. And so I started letting my mask down just a little bit. I started to talk about my feelings. I started to answer people more honestly. And the second I did, people started to come closer. That's where the real belonging was that I had been looking for that whole entire time. Recovery is not linear. It's not one day you wake up 10 steps forward and you're there and suddenly you're this healed, perfect version. You did all the things you were supposed to do. It's not a formula self-help book. It's messy. It was never about the food. It was never about drinking. It was never about any of that stuff. What it was about was connection. Our bodies, they're really wise. Our bodies know what we need. And I spent so long trying to run from my body, trying to ignore my body, ignore myself, ignore the truth. If you're hungry, that's your body telling you to eat. It was never about following rules, doing what the world wants of you. It was never about that. But it was about unbecoming, taking off the layers, shedding off all of that and putting it to the side until all you have left is yourself. For me, that meant to stop drinking. For me, that meant I want to live a life where I don't feel like I am drinking to run away from it. I don't want to have to drink to try to forget it. I want to live a life I want to be there for. I want to be allowed to eat food. We need food, guys. I wanted to be allowed to be nourished, have energy. There's going to be a lot of people with a lot of opinions and a lot of thoughts about whether or not that's okay, whether or not that's this bad, terrible thing, and whether or not you need to be doing things differently. But the secret is none of that matters. What matters is who you are, what you want. So if you're out there and you know what I'm talking about here, you feel like you're wearing a mask or have worn a mask, I'm not going to tell you to take that mask off, but I am going to tell you to imagine what would happen if you did.